Welcome back to a best of 5 series of professional StarCraft 2. Today it's time for the grand finals of the ESL Open Cup 125 Americas, and we have an actual American in the grand finals. I'll talk about that a little bit more in just a second. First off though, in the bottom left hand corner of Blackburn, that's going to be our first map for today. Playing with the red Protoss probes, we have the man who's from South Korea and who is considered, according to Aligalek, the rank 1 Protoss player in the world. Of course that means we have none other than Hero. However, his opponent, in the bottom right, playing here with the blue Protoss pieces, an absolute channel favorite from the United States of America, we're looking at Neeb's main Nexus. Alrighty, Neeb versus Hero. Ooh. Oh, nice! Okay, if you look at the minimap, there's a couple of colorful outlines indicating, I think, the player vision. I've seen this happening as an observer to a live game of StarCraft 2, but I've never seen anyone get that to work in a replay cast. So I'm casting these games from replay. It's not glitching around the screen, by the way. It's just these guys looking at about 10 different screens a second. Yeah, these players are obviously going to be very fast, so I don't know if it's going to be distracting or if it's going to be helpful, but it's cool to see that at the very least it's an option. That's really cool. Huh. Neat. Yeah, they're looking all over the screen. I don't know if it's going to be annoying. Let me know down below in the comment section. Do you like the idea of being able to see the player vision, or do you think it's a little too much? Because now I can't look at anything else other than the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. Anyways, because this is the grand finals of the ESL Open Cup Americas, I figured, when's the last time that an American or someone from the American region has actually won this tournament? So the way that it works is that it just dictates the server that the games are meant to be played on. So you can sign up from anywhere around the globe, and obviously there's some excellent players from the Americas, but there's also some very good players outside of the Americas. And generally speaking, it seems that the guys that like to play the ESL Open Cups, they just sign up for all 3 of them, other than maybe the Asian one, because that one is extremely difficult to win. Anyways, so 124, the previous edition of this tournament, was won by Byun. 123 was won by Hero. 122 and 121 were won by Cure. 120 was once again won by Byun, so all of those players are Korean. Then 116 through 119, 4 in a row, were won by the Danish Protoss Max Specs. And then 115 was won by Special. So Special won, he's from the Americas, he's Mexican, so I guess that's the last time that we actually had someone from the Americas winning this tournament. Either way, because of that, I'm secretly cheering a little bit for Neeb, just because Neeb's very good at the game. Then again, I do feel like this is going to be an uphill battle, just because with the way that Hero's been playing recently, man. He's been showcasing some fantastic StarCraft. I think right now, Hero's probably my personal favorite Protoss player. Previously, that crown, completely meaningless crown, was held by Mr. Zest. But Zest has been playing a little bit too much double Stargate Void Ray against Zerg for my liking, man. I mean, I try to be an unbiased commentator, but I can only cast so many Void Ray games in a row before I get sick and tired of it. And Hero, he's been playing some very exciting StarCraft. Yeah. My limit, by the way, for double Stargate Void Ray right now is 1 game. Like, if I see any more than 1 game, it's too much, man. Even though it's a legit strategy in Protoss for Zerg, it's still a little bit too much. My Zerg heart bleeds every time I see double Stargate Void Ray. Anyways, that's not what this game is all about. Neeb, of course, has got fantastic Protoss versus Protoss historically. It's been a little bit since I've casted any of his games, so we'll find out together. Both players, by the way, going for near identical builds so far, although it is going to be a Twilight Council a little bit quicker right here for Hero. He's decided to fly his own Oracle all the way around the map, probably expecting to not be able to get any damage in the opponent's main base anyways, so he decided to just, yeah, make sure he's checking for proxies, and maybe he's going to be able to deal some damage right here in the net. Obviously, Oracles have a lot of utility, though, so even if you don't really do any damage with them... Look at Neeb, already positioning his units in the right place. Although, maybe this little trick, yeah, maybe it kind of works out. There is obviously a shield battery, so... Stasis Ward is going to be your best bet. Honestly, that grabbed more than I expected it to. But in the end, it shouldn't really matter all too much. Alright, Blink is coming up quite nice and early here from Hero. This does mean that action's going to be on him here in a little bit. Probe transfer caught right here by Neeb as well. Okay, Revelation being used right there on Oracles. The other Oracle's also using a Revelation on the other Oracle. Apparently these guys are just trying to keep track of each other, so it gives you a little bit of vision. Nicely done. Neeb, by the way, joined a new team I'll talk about that actually in the beginning of the next game, because it's quite the story. It's actually, yeah, it's a little interesting. Anyways, there's the on-site clan decal spinning around on the main Nexus. Alright, so this map is usually a Stargate-focused map, just because it's very nice. Stargate units in general, super helpful in this matchup. One Phoenix is going to force those Oracles to stop flying around the bases, and it's now going to allow Hero to do a little bit more scouting of his own. His Blink is going to finish up in a bit, so I'm expecting him to get towards the low ground. He did fully wall himself in right over there on the low ground expo, so I'm assuming he's going to try and blink past it. Oh no. Screw you, Stargate. That one Zealot is super important. That Zealot is Protoss royalty, okay? He needs to have a front door that's open. Fair enough. Apparently he's not planning on adding on any additional Stargate units here for the time being. Interestingly enough, though, Neeb did, create a little bit of a hole right over there on his own wall. Maybe a bit of a misread right there from Hero. If you don't plan on making any Stargate units, it doesn't really matter all too much. But if these games do go the distance, usually you do want to have a Stargate out. So, that's something to keep in mind. Not a huge deal, though. Alright, let's see. Stasis Ward. Okay. Spotted right there with a Revelation. At this point, Stalker advantage here should be for, well, I was going to say Hero. But now with the Warpins finishing up, it's dead even. Defender's advantage is obviously very nice. Okay, Neeb sniping the Oracle there too, which is a little dangerous. Yeah, so Stalker versus Stalker battles are always crazy, right? We've seen Stalker versus Stalker battles in PvP for literally minutes. Just because the guys are blinking their butts off, trying to just get as much value out of those units as possible. But since these build orders are very tight, usually they'll end up with very similar numbers. But it's mostly one of those little skill checks, right? You just want to make sure that your opponent is making all the right moves and not playing too greedily. Neeb, though, getting the third Nexus up significantly before his opponents. And because of that, he's got a nice little economical advantage, which will ultimately, if you're making the same units, it will ultimately allow him to get a bigger army out. So when exactly is he going to push? Wouldn't be surprised if he goes for a move out here in a little bit. He's waiting right now for the robotics facility to finish up. Neither player has any observers yet or anything along those lines. So you kind of do need to be able to reinforce an army. Since Neeb doesn't have a gateway in the middle of the map anywhere. Like, sometimes we see, like, a gateway over here, right? You cannot very easily reinforce this without a gateway in that position. So you kind of need to have a prism out or, for example, an observer out. You can also obviously just decide to go for another expo and try to push that economical advantage some more. Alright. So definitely an advantage right now for Neeb, though. Strategically outpacing his opponent a little bit. Yeah, I don't really know exactly what it is about Neeb's Protoss versus Protoss, but he's always been fantastic in that matchup. I can actually have a quick look what his win rate is in PvP over the course of his career. In tournaments, if I'm not mistaken, it's his highest win rate. Oh, he's got 69% win rate in tournament games of Protoss versus Protoss. Nice. Yeah, that's pretty nice. Yeah, so rather than pushing, he decides to go for what seems to be a fourth Nexus right now. Hallucinated Phoenix here from Hero, scouting out that there is no golden base acquired yet. Whereas that's exactly what he's doing at home right now. So Hero, a little bit behind. That's one of the ways, obviously, you can come back if you're ever so slightly behind. Grab the gold base instead, but obviously this base can be quite vulnerable from the back. Looks like we're going bowling in this game as well. The Stalkers are the pins, although don't tell them. It's going to be double robo right here from Neeb, and now he's going to be able to get those Disruptors out. Disruptors are an absolute key unit in this matchup. We see them being played all of the time. Very micro-heavy army, though, so obviously the Blink Stalker are going to be fantastic at maneuvering around the map. But if you blink a little bit too aggressively, you might accidentally go into one of those Purification Novas. So I'm assuming the same thing right here as well from Hero, who's now also going for his own double Robo. Robo Bay is going to finish up a little bit later once again than Neeb's. So Neeb is basically just ahead in time, right? And yeah, economy and in time, which is a fantastic situation to be in. But the problem is with Disruptors, it's extremely hard to actually close out the game. A couple of Zealots over here in the front, soaking up quite a bit of damage. Zealot DPS is actually significantly higher than that of Stalkers. So you always got to be careful. Okay, Observer there does fall. Now Disruptors are available for Neeb. So Disruptors have a skill called Purification Nova. That's their only thing. It deals a lot of damage on impact. The problem is that oftentimes it will not get an impact because of the fact that you can blink your Stalkers backwards as well. While the Disruptor is channeling that Purification Nova, it's stationary. And if the Disruptor gets killed while the Purification Nova is channeling, the Nova is cancelled. So the dynamic is either you back off or you jump in and try to snipe it before it actually explodes. That decision making though is extremely risky, because you can imagine if you misjudge it, you accidentally lose all of your stuff. Alright, so we've had a very macro focused first 10 minutes of the game, but now players are starting to get more aggressive. Blackburn tends to play out similarly like this. Sometimes we see those mass Phoenix battles on this map as well. Neeb already, though, going straight right now into the Fleet Beacon, and then 3 additional Stargates, too. Okay. Neeb getting the better end of that trade, if I'm not mistaken. It's always a little bit crazy to look at those fights, but triple Stargate right now going down. In addition to the one he already had, he's going +1 flyer attacks. Together with that Fleet Beacon of his, he's going to be able to start going either into Tempest or, of course, Carriers. Both are fantastic choices. I think I've mostly seen Neeb playing Tempest in this matchup, but Carriers are also a good choice. Especially with the +1 flyer. Alright, so he's going to go for a Skytools-based army, whereas Hero is sticking around on ground units for now. It's going to be Carriers. So 3 Carriers are paid for right now here by the American Protoss. The problem with Carriers is that they're super expensive. Yeah, so you just spend resources on 4 of them, and it takes like half a game to get out. So it takes a while. Zealots over here getting some decent trades as well, because Neeb is too busy microing the main fights over here. Hero trying to go for a lucky strike. He's decided to tech up towards Dark Templar instead. So he's got a couple of heroes with capes over there up north. A couple of zealots over here ready to maybe create a bit of a distraction here, as well as they sacrifice themselves on top of those photon cannons and shield batteries. Either way, Neeb's gonna have the stronger army if he manages to get there. But Hero is gonna be able to go for some extreme backstabbing with those DTs. So when you have this many Dark Templar, you can just go in and kill everything, right? They obviously will still be halted by the photon cannons, but it's only going to be a small distraction. These things deal a ton of damage. Plus, he's now securing the base, well, at the 12 o'clock position, and the one in the top left-hand corner as well. Looks like we are getting a couple of units killed here and there. I wasn't really looking at that. Mostly because usually that doesn't happen. The slow zone, by the way, does slow down the Novas as well. One of the top 10 things that science can't explain. Anyways, here's the Dark Templar ready to go in. Battery overcharge right here is going to keep this alive and is going to buy a bunch of time for Neeb to be able to get reinforcements out as well. Okay, he really wants to snipe that thing down. I think, yeah, for now, this is going to be forced to back off. And Neeb going in for the counterattack. He's been sniping units left, right, and center here from Hero. Hero bleeding out quite a lot of stuff. Now he sees that his opponent's Carriers are here. There's quite a few more available too. Zealots here, probably all army hotkey back. Dark Templar, in the meantime, also exposed in the top right-hand corner with that revelation ability from the Oracles that are still around, apparently. All right. So the Carriers can create a lot of distractions here, right? If the Carriers are deploying their Interceptors and Hero's Stalkers are busy fighting those Interceptors, they're not fighting all of the other units. Oh, God. That was a very risky little move right there from Neeb. He manages to snipe the Disruptor balls. Another Disruptor comes flying down the low ground. Or, I guess, the high ground towards the low ground. Oh, Nova. Okay. This one did connect with a couple of units. Basically, the 12 o'clock position at this point is done right here for Hero, but I wonder if his army is strong enough. Those Carriers are starting to pack a punch. +2 is coming up. Base over here is defended. Reinforcements right now from Neeb are moving across as well. Okay, he's playing it safe, but the supply count is not really deceiving the current situation of this game. Zealot's trying to create a bit of a flank as well. This is the moment, apparently, where Hero decides to blink forward. He's trying to target fire down whatever he can. He did get one of the Carriers, maybe 2 of the Carriers. Oracles just flying to their demise in the middle of this battle, too. Probes have been sacrificed, and despite all of that, Neeb's army still seems a little bit stronger. There's a tremendous amount of warpins available here for Heroes. He's going to be able to, at the very least, reinforce his army decently well, but there's the blink forward as well from Neeb. Zealots and Probes coming in from the back. Nice Nova detonation right there from the American Protoss player. You know what? Neeb absolutely smashed Hero here in game number 1. Alright, game number 2 is on Hardwire. So, here's the team situation for Neeb. As you probably know, Neeb used to be part of Team Ting for the longest time. Probably since, like, I want to say 2015, 2016 or so. Basically throughout his entire StarCraft 2 career. At the very least, as long as he's been playing at this level for. He was part of Team Ting. So he left in March. And he said the following at the time. He said, "It was a pleasure to represent Ting on all stages around the world. As I consider a return to studying with a less of a focus on StarCraft 2, it makes sense to end our journey together. I'd like to wish Ting and Jesse the absolute best going forward." So that's essentially Neeb saying that he's considering retirement, which kind of sucks because he's one of the most popular StarCraft 2 players out in the scene, right? However, interestingly enough, late March, a new team was created, a South Korean StarCraft 2 organization called Onsite. I hadn't heard of it before, and I think it's because they were founded back in March. Either way, get this, their very first player that they signed is Maru. So their first player is the player who's widely considered to be like the most successful Korean StarCraft pro over like the last decade. So Maru joins in March as their very first player. Then Crank also joined as the general team manager. He's a very popular Korean caster and content creator in case you're unfamiliar. Then Rex joined in April, a Taiwanese player. And then Mr. Neeb decided to join in May. So I'm not entirely sure how long this contract will be going for and how, you know, how long Neeb is planning on being on this team for. Maybe he's planning on, like, combining studying together with being a StarCraft pro. I don't know. But they probably gave him an offer he can't refuse. Probably the same thing happened for Maru. Maru, of course, was on the same team for a very long time, too. And, yeah, he did not decide to resign, probably assuming that someone could give him a better offer. And it turns out... I thought for a second it was going to be, like, a one-man team. You know how, like, Serral, for example, is on Team ENCE? ENCE used to have other players, but honestly, it's been just Serral for the longest time. And I can imagine they don't really plan on signing anyone else either. But I kind of expected maybe Onsite to be similar too, but it looks like they are signing new players. Neeb, obviously, yeah, one of the most popular StarCraft pros out there. Probably also wants to have a reasonable salary too. Maybe it's only for a few months, I don't know. Anyways, he decided to proxy his second pylon right over there on the left side of the map. This is one of the things we see all of the time in Protoss versus Protoss. It doesn't necessarily have to mean that it's cheese. It's just that Hero has to be on his toes. So Hero right now is going across the map with a probe. Don't know if he's looking for proxies or if he's looking to proxy himself. Double gateway approach, by the way, from the both of them. Oh, actually. Ooh, I wasn't quite paying attention there. Hero decided to go for a super quick Twilight Council, and then a Dark Shrine as well. So I was trying to say that I expected both of them to go for a Nexus here pretty quickly, but Hero is rushing out a Dark Shrine. Dark Templar rushes, yeah, that explains that probe moving across the map too. Not very popular. But obviously if you don't have detection out, it can definitely win you the game straight up. Neeb, though, already going for the Robo Facility. The thing is, right, you can get detection from either like an Oracle or, for example, a Robo Facility. When you go for an Observer, so detection usually isn't a problem. I don't know, I feel like a Dark Shrine Rush, maybe I'm mistaken, but it always is like... It always kind of feels like a Gold League strategy to me, you know what I mean? Like, no disrespect at all, but it's just one of those moves that technically shouldn't really work that well if the opponent is on point. And trying to catch someone of the caliber of Neeb off guard with some, you know, Dark Templar, maybe it can work. But I don't think it's that great of an option. Anyways, Hero decided to warp in a couple of Adepts too. They're probably going to try and shade up towards the high ground. There's already a Gatekeeper over here, though. That probe. Yep, creating the wall off, which is excellent. Okay. Good shield battery timing right over there as well from our Protoss player in blue. He's decided to go for an Immortal because he's a little bit concerned. Okay, 3 Dark Templar. Being warped in, being rushed out right here. 4 minutes and 20 seconds is apparently the point at which Mr. Hero finishes up the Dark Templar. Observer after the Immortal, though. And even though he only just now sees the Shimmer, that Observer is already pretty much done. Battery overcharge being utilized. DT is still dealing a lot of damage, but at this point the Dark Templar are spotted, which is the most important thing. Decides to, okay, morph them into an Archon and then recall the Archon back, which is always a nice little move. But this is once again a fantastic start right here for the American Protoss. Now he's got his Nexus up significantly quicker. His opponent invested into Dark Templar, which certainly haven't paid for themselves just yet. Neeb, in the meantime, though, also proxy the pylon over there on the right side of the map, close to what normally is the 3rd or the 4th for the opponent. Okay, proxy pylon right here is spotted, so Neeb's going to be able to clean this up easy peasy. And now he's potentially going to be able to get depths right now into the main base. He needs to get a pylon. No pylon. That means that these adepts will be able to shade in. At the same time, Hero going for a commitment. Recall being used on, I think, the units, yeah, that indeed were working on that pylon over there that the Dark Templar were used to proxy in from. But these adepts here are getting a lot of work done. 7 probes for 2 adepts is fantastic. And Neeb is now furthering, oh my god, his advantage in this game. Remember the Archon? Oh god, I think he's gonna go down. Maybe not. Oh, jeez. 8 health. That's crazy. He's actually going to stay alive. Nice body blocking right there by Hero. All right. We don't normally see Archons with, I guess, yellow health bars. He's going to be able to regenerate his shields here eventually. Anyhow. 2 more adepts managed to get in. Yeah, Neeb toying with his food. 69 supply right now. Nice. Okay, a little bit less at this point. The one thing that Hero does have going for him here is Blink. So Blink is obviously fantastic. But is it fantastic enough to be able to deal with someone who's already got 2 Immortals out? Like, those Immortals are going to be so strong. Obviously, there is a certain point at which you can just Blink on top of the Immortals and just snipe them one at a time. But Immortals in straight-up battles absolutely... Ooh, looks like there was a little bit of a lag spike. They absolutely tear apart Stalkers. So Hero up with his back against the wall right now. I wonder what his move is going to be. He's finally got the Natural up and running. He's going to start chrono boosting out workers 2 at a time as well. Neeb can either go for a push or just go for a 3rd Nexus if he wants to. Robo Facility finally coming up here for Hero. Okay, this time around the Adepts here from the Korean Protoss do get in, so that's nice. This is actually super important. He needs to get some sort of counter-attack damage in. Apparently the gatekeeper, the security guy, he didn't move. And maybe now Hero can actually snipe a couple units at the front as well. That would be the beginning of a comeback. Actually getting 6 workers there is very, very nice. Prism is coming up though, together with a bunch of additional gateways. So Neeb wants to go for a 2-base push. Hallucinated Phoenix providing high ground vision. Stalkers go straight into the main base. Hero's just trying to buy as much time as possible. He sees the chrono boost right there on the Twilight Council, so he knows his opponent is going to go for a similar upgrade very soon. Sniped a couple things here and there, decided to go back. He's buying time. He's buying time. He's hit a supply block as well at home. A very short one. Probably needs to make a couple more pylons. Anyways, now with the Prism out as well as the Observer, this is the moment at which Neeb can start being aggressive. Second Robo Facility together with the Robo Bay coming up here for Hero, so he's planning to go into Disruptors. That's still about a minute or 2 away, though, before those units will actually join the battlefield. So Neeb does have an opportunity right now to go in. Needs to be careful because the Sentries and the Immortals are separated from the rest of the army. Although I say that he needs to be careful. Well, apparently it's Hero who needs to be careful right now, as he didn't expect the units to come in. Nice movement right there by Neeb, catching a couple of those Stalkers off guard. I'm not entirely sure where Hero expected those Immortals to be at that point, to be honest. Because they weren't part of the Stalker army. They could maybe be kind of following the Stalkers awkwardly. Anyways, battery overcharge is of course available. 2 full energy shield batteries, or pretty much full energy shield batteries right there for the Korean. Battery overcharge is forced. Disruptors are coming up. They're about halfway done right now. Neeb hasn't seen them yet, so he doesn't know that that is going to be the next option right here for the Protoss in red. Needs to be very careful, but he is smelling blood in the water. He wants to win this game right here, right now. Hero's going to need a glorious hit. At this point, it's spotted. 1 sentry does go down. Immortal also taking some damage. Okay, that was a good purification Nova. Still, though, probes are already falling. Observer right now goes into the main base as well, just to guard that ramp. Natural Expo in a lot of trouble, and I think even if Neeb loses his entire army, he's still gonna be okay. Neeb is playing some fantastic StarCraft. Really nicely done. Yeah. He doesn't have Blink available again, but he just splits on the ramp. GG is called, and Neeb wins game number 2. Alrighty. Game 3. We're on 2,000 atmospheres. But Hero, alright, is sending out a probe already. By the way, as you may have noticed right there at the beginning of the game, Neeb was setting up some camera hotkeys. So you can set up camera hotkeys in StarCraft 2. So I think F2 is probably his natural, F1 is his main base, F3 the third, F4 the fourth, F5 the fifth. Like, he's setting up a bunch of different control groups just for the camera location, which is actually amazing. Absolute game changer when I implemented that into my games like 6 years ago or something. It's been a while, but at this point I can't play without it. Makes such a big difference when it comes to going around the map quickly. It doesn't seem very impactful, but when you get used to it, it actually makes you significantly better. Oh god. Neeb sees the probe. That probe angle didn't make any sense, Neeb. I guess Neeb doesn't care. Like, he probably noted that, and he's like, okay, I'm still better off going into my opponent's main base regardless to see if anything's going on, because you never really know exactly where the proxy is at. Either way, Neeb wants to go double gateway in the main base right now, which is really good for him. He didn't go for a low ground or anything along those lines. So Hero is planning on being aggressive. Neeb could even steal a gas if he really wanted to. Might be a bit too expensive. He just walls himself in fully right now. So he is not taking any chances. Yeah, he's blocking his opponent's gas. If you hug your own worker against the gas geyser of your opponent, it makes it so they can't actually take the assimilator here. Okay, now he can. That's why you can see Hero sending a couple of those bad boys at the probe. Alright. Speaking of probes, this bad boy right now is stuck in the main base. Kind of just scouting out exactly what it is that the American is going for. So Hero has decided to go for a couple of zealots over here, which is nice and all, I guess. Honestly, I wonder if it's just worth giving up on this fight altogether, because you've already forced your opponent to be fully walled in. Obviously, Neeb, though, can still pop units on the other end of the wall and still get units out that way, but no way of getting him outside of his own main base right now until he destroys one of his structures, until like a, I don't know, like a prism or so is available, until you can ferry units out of the base. Either way, yeah, Adept is just gonna go across the map. Even a shield battery is coming up. Neeb is definitely respecting this quite a bit. Alright, I was gonna say, almost respecting it a little too much. So how are we gonna get out of the base? A robo facility makes the most sense. The Zealots did make their way back home. Shield battery is gonna be available here in a little bit too. Neeb just trying to be as annoying as he possibly can be. Getting one probe kill so far right here on the Adept. Now the shield battery is done though, so he's not going to be able to get that much more work in. The issue here for Hero is that he's now got two gateways awkwardly in the middle of the map. So you kind of have to be aggressive, because losing these, right, that's like 400 minerals down the drain for free. I guess, well, Neeb is going to, yeah, he's going to be forced to get rid of one of his own gateways here too. So maybe it's not entirely for free, but it's certainly annoying. So, at least in these sorts of situations, I always feel the need to just be hyper-aggressive and just to try and, you know, protect the structures that I've already built. Maybe you should view it as a lost cause, but at that point, I guess, you know, it's also a little too much. Anyhow, Immortal coming up here for Neeb once again, probably an observer as a follow-up, just like we saw him doing in the previous game, making sure that he is not gonna be caught with his pants down against a Dark Templar transition or something along those lines. Obviously, Neeb did have an Adept in the main base, so he knew exactly what the opponent's transition was gonna be. It's a robo, so he scouted that out. Still, though, good idea. Oh, he's gonna go double Immortal because of it. Okay. So if he doesn't know, he goes Immortal into Observer, but if he does know, he goes Immortal into Immortal. Fair enough. Here's the Prism in the main base right now. Hero's definitely not done enough damage yet, by the way. Not to justify this this proxy anyways. A little bit of animation cancelling right there. That may be some server ping issues. I'm assuming anyways that these games are being played on probably NA West. Not entirely sure where Neeb lives, but... wasn't it New York? Like the state? I'm not entirely sure. Maybe I'm mistaken. I don't know. Anyways. Thinking back of his signature series right now. I feel like that's what I remember, but maybe I'm completely wrong. Anyhow, NA West would probably be like the nice thing to do, just so Hero doesn't have terrible ping from Korea. But you did see a little bit of animation cancelling right there on those Adepts. They didn't finish up their attacks. Okay, so we're now actually passing each other We're passing each other by. Okay, Neeb decides to target fire down the pylon over there that's powering that stuff. At the same time, okay, there is one sentry here providing a force field, preventing Hero from just getting into the main base. Then again, he can just ferry the units right now. Okay, he's now, you know, kind of blocking himself out. I don't know if I like it a little too much. Anyways, he's now making sure that he's going to be able to get all those units in. Target firing down the pylons. Neeb is trying to keep it alive with a battery overcharge. No Immortal available right here for a Hero to power through those structures really quickly. And what seemed like a rather dicey scenario right there for a second was once again pretty clean there for Neeb, all things considered. I guess now if he wants to, he can go for an Expo. Yeah, just go for the Nexus on the low ground. Get it done. Now that these structures are underpowered, what exactly are you going to do here as Hero? He just lost 2 gateways. He can get his own Immortals out, which is nice and all. But, yeah. If you only have 1 Immortal, it's not quite enough to power through those structures of his opponent with a battery overcharge. Neeb finishing them off as well, and not really wanting to take the risk there of his opponent just sneakily repowering it. Hallucinated Phoenix here spotted the Prism too, so Neeb knows exactly what the opponent is going for. There's the Robo Bay coming up. Immortal drop in the main base as well right now, though, from the American. Okay, good force fields there. He needs to pop those units back in and at the very least keep it alive. At the same time, Prism over here did decide to go very deep. No natural expo here yet for Mr. Hero, by the way. Okay. Pylon there does go down eventually. 2 Immortals versus 1 Immortal. Couple of gateway units helping out as well, though. Since the Robo Bay is soon spotted, Neeb knows that there's no way that these units are gonna get Blink anytime soon. So you shouldn't lose your Prism. That's what I'm trying to get at. To just a bunch of Stalkers, although it can still happen, obviously. If you lose the Prism, it's game. Blink is started up right now for Neeb. Still about a minute away, though. Okay, so Hero is actually doing some excellent micro. Oh, no. Oh, God. Okay, does keep it alive. Man, you gotta be so careful, because you know your opponent's still, Wait, what? Wait. Hold up, I gotta go back. What happened to the Prism right here of Neeb? I was gonna say, you know that your opponent still has a Prism out, and maybe they've warped it. Oh my God, really? Okay, I missed that. You never know exactly if there's like a couple of, you know, Stalkers coming in from the flank, is what I was trying to get at. Neeb sloppily losing the Prism right there with the Immortals as well, which is very, very bad. Alright, that's one thing that Mr. Hero can use right over here to get back into this game for sure. Now he's got triple Immortal. Disruptor coming up as well. If you want to commit, I feel like right now is the time to commit. Instead, he decided to go for a natural expo. He hits a supply block too here. Hero, that is. Yeah, these games are all over the place. So not too surprising to see little mistakes slip into it, but not the highest level game here on 2000 Atmos. Obviously, it's tricky because everything is like moving at a pretty slow pace until the Blink Stalker are done. Okay. Hero instead bringing everything back home, opting to go for a Disruptor drop. Hallucinated Phoenix this time around won't scout it. But honestly, I don't really expect this Prism to be able to get that much work in either. There's already an Observer over here on the left side of Neeb's natural. So, no way that you can really go in there undetected. Hallucinated Phoenix right now, though, scouts the amount of workers that there are available on the low ground here for Hero. And Neeb knows that he's got a huge economical lead. Hello. I mean, you did see that. Okay. One little snipe right there on the... I think it was a shield battery that was building. Blink is done. This is something that I don't think... Hero does see it. He's got... Oh my God. I was going to say, where did that Observer spawn? Okay. That Observer is right in the middle of the main base. So he should know at this point that Blink is done. Needs to be careful. So I think if you're Neeb, you're just going to go for an attack right now, right? Try and use that economical lead. It's hard to say because obviously you lost those units on the other side of the map. Yeah. If you would have had the Immortals still out together with the Prism, it would make a lot of sense. Right now, I guess it's a little harder to say, and instead it's going to be Hero who decides to march across. 4 Immortals out for him is going to hit like an absolute truck. Okay. Oh my god, really? Really? Okay. Game 1 and 2 were definitely of a bit of a higher quality. Maybe Hero's starting to fall asleep. Don't know exactly at what time the finals are usually played, but now there's plenty of Immortals available right here for Neeb 2 if the armies are split up. A 5th Immortal, though, does show up here for Hero. The problem is he doesn't have a Prism to reinforce his army with, so instead he's just going to be forced to go really far forward. Immortal right over there gets targeted down. Neeb is going to be able to keep that bad boy alive. In the meantime, there was a little bit of aggression on the other side of the map too, with Hero losing some of his workers. And eventually, even though the games weren't necessarily super clean, it's going to be Neeb, the American hero, to win the ESL Open Cup Americas 125.